entitled to his fee? Did he do certain work that he said he did or didn't do? And it was all documented by these emails. And interestingly enough, all the parties involved saved every email. So there was tons of information for us to go through. Exactly.
Okay, and then back to the original question. When you have someone who's working for a publicly traded company, say, someone asks, how's business? And the response is, it's not bad. We're seeing stability in this, or a hedge fund manager says, I'm seeing real stability. Does that really constitute giving away some information that they should not have?
I think they're still mandated by the same regulations as they would with a normal course of a telephone call,
right.
Somebody saying something over a phone call, but...
and you see, I think, this disclosure information on emails now all the time.
You have to put what do they call it?
A disclosure or a first for lawyers, confidentiality notice, and then if it's this hedge fund,
a disclaimer. You have to put a disclaimer down. Yeah.
That would say you can't rely on this. Insurance agents, you'll often see they'll have that this does not bind insurance. And if it's an SEC type of question you're asking where you don't want people to rely on the information so that they can't sue you for violating some, Security and Exchange Commission rule, they'll say that this is not intended to be information that's relied upon. All of those disclaimers are now on different emails for internet sites or whatever you might see.
Interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with the term called net neutrality, or in my industry, in marketing and advertising, there's now some question about whether or not all content is going to be made accessible at the same price. You pay a fee for X dollars a month. Some internet providers, some Comcast, not to mention, or Google, they may have very different feelings about what is accessible at that price, thinking that they might have an occasion to charge a premium. Well, that must bring into play and some sort of a freedom of speech issue. Is that going to be a legal issue?
It's funny that you say that, because there's an email generating its way through the internet right now. Let's call it viral, I guess that's the term, whereby the allegation is that Facebook now wants to charge their members a fee for the use of their website or whatever, their whatever it is that
whatever that service is,
what their service is. So it's interesting that you say that, because people are trying to get together a petition or a viral email back to them saying, hey, no, this is free speech. The exact same thing was in that email that said, you're violating our free speech. Why should we have to pay for this? They can just as well go to another service provider.
And then it gets to that next issue about these file sharing sites, which could be music or video, and whether or not that violates copyright laws. And you know that there was the case in Massachusetts, I think, that involved a boy from Rhode Island, where he was sued for violating the copyrights by sharing it in these file sharing spaces, and had a big judgment entered against him.
Is there a law now about what you can and can't download that's legal or not?
Oh, there are many laws, federal laws.
Yeah, it's actually the same law that always applied. It's just now how does it apply to the internet or with this new technology that we have. If it's somebody's copyrighted music, you can't give it away, sell it, or share it without having followed the proper federal rules.
Or express permission from the owner. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, and I don't know if this presents a new wrinkle, but in the news, Congress had a moment of, oh my God, when someone ended up sharing P2P, peer-to-peer, some information or some music that they had, and they had not had any information disclosed that said you should be careful because this software that allows us to do it is not necessarily secure. So considering it was someone who was in the legal field, when they shared that information, also it allowed a very ambitious thief, internet thief, computer thief, to hack into that computer and download and had access to military personal files, medical files, financial records, even the mafia's previous hit list.
I was on 60 Minutes this past week.
So what happens now when there's a law? What do you think? If there's a law that's being bandied about, I guess it's not legal yet, but being bandied about, a good case that says you need to make sure that everyone knows this isn't secure. Is there a way to make that illegal?
How would you know if
How
it's
would you
not
know?
a secure?
Right.
I mean,
If it's peer-to-peer, they're saying it's not. Can you actually legislate that, making someone say it's not, or it clearly may not be?
If I were to have some contact with you over the internet and they want me to be required to let you know that this isn't secure, it would be a difficult thing to regulate, I would think. I'm not a technology expert. Tell me what the law is, and you ask me a question about whether legally they can require that. I don't know if it's not a restraint of trade or, an ICC or federal communication type of thing necessarily, although it could be under the FCC because it's considered broadband communication. There may be grounds for them to regulate that. But I think what they're trying to do in the long run is to try to make things more secure. And it's very difficult with these technology experts who are criminals and hackers and go on websites and get people's personal information. They want to take every step to protect against that. So if that is one more step to do it and it doesn't really violate your rights, then that's probably where it's going to go.
I mean, I would understand that not everyone would have the level of sophistication to know that they could easily be hacked for having shared a song. But imagine if I did that and sent an email to Jackie with a photo that was on a peer-to-peer network, and suddenly somebody, from my having done that, hacked into every single file that she ever had in her caseload, then couldn't somebody likely sue her? I mean, where does that stop?
I guess you have to go back to what we do as lawyers, and anytime we hit send on an email, we have to make sure there's a disclaimer there. So now we all as individuals and consumers are going to have the same thing, which is this is not a secure site,
Right.
That's pretty
Oh,
scary.
yeah, it's how you can police that, I don't know, but we'd
But
all be required to have a disclaimer on every email we send. That's how extreme it would get.
Right. But it does get back to that bottom line of protecting people and their personal information that is on their computer, which is now connected to the rest of the world, and trying to protect it from people getting in and taking that information.
Would you suggest that every business person who might have proprietary information in their files, that they send such a disclaimer out with every single email that they have for fear that somebody has been able to hack and filch something that they should not have?
I don't know enough about the technology that's involved in all of that. I would say that if, at a minimum, if you're sending out information and it involves your business and there are some disclaimers you should have that protect you against people saying that you have an agreement, a contract, a binded insurance policy, as we talked about before, that should be on there. If it's another sentence or two that says that this is not secured information and that that you may be in danger, if you don't have your own technology protecting your computer, because I'm sure that this is a little bit beyond just having that firewall and the protection of your own computer. It's one sentence at it. Make sure your information is secure.
That may be good advice. What have you found to date of how the technology and law not keeping up with it, how has it impacted on your clients, your business?
Oh, I mean, it's created a whole new level of our work duties, because not only are we dealing with paper and telephone calls and in-person meetings, now we have a fourth layer, which is emails or downloads, everything. I mean, we're responsible for that, and everything that goes out from our computer system, we're responsible for. So when you hit that send button, you have to know that the person you're sending it to could easily hit a forward button, and so we have to worry about preserving confidentiality. But it's created a whole new layer of work. I spend almost an hour a day just going through emails, not just from clients, but from other colleagues, because it's, quite frankly, it's made life a lot easier to just attach a file, send the document to another attorney or to whomever, rather than go to a fax machine and fax or put it in snail mail. So it's also been able to speed up what would normally take much longer to complete.
You bring up an interesting point, Jackie. What happens if you forward a document to a client and